It's chapters 18 through 20, 1 Samuel. Chapter 18. David and Jonathan become best of friends, brothers, very close. Jonathan is Saul's son. Jonathan shows his love by giving his armor away, his weapons away, giving everything to David, anything that he needs. Saul becomes envious of David because David keeps succeeding in everything that he does. He goes to war, he comes back, and they sing songs about him, that he's killing tens of thousands of Philistines, and Saul kills only 1,000. So Saul wants to be the best. He is furious at David's success. He fears him. So one night he grabs a spear to try to pin David on the wall and kill him, get rid of him. David eludes him, of course, and this grows the fear even more so, that nobody can touch him. He's invincible. So after he tries to kill him, Saul sends him back to battle, and he succeeds once again, wherever he goes. Saul devises a plan after this to give away his daughters in marriage, one of his daughters. Adriel is the oldest, and she goes first, but David insists that he is not the man to be the son-in-law of the king. He stays very humble. And Adriel, I don't think, was the right woman. The next one, Michal, she was the one who David probably loved, and she loved David. That's what the scriptures say. So when Saul comes with her hand in marriage to David, David says, what can I do for her? David says, go get 200 Philistine foreskins, and then I'll give you my daughter. That's how it worked back then. So, of course, he takes his men, David takes his men, and does the deed, kills the men, gets what he needs, and he comes back and he marries Michal. Or Michal. And she falls in love with him. She can't be manipulated by Saul. His plan doesn't work. She is fully devoted to him, and this brings Saul to fear David even more so. Everything that Saul does backfires. Every plan, every weapon against David fires back at him. So David becomes more successful than any of Saul's officers, and that's the end of 18. 19, Saul once again tries to kill David. He tells Jonathan, his son, go kill David for me. Jonathan doesn't understand this request because David is the hero of the whole land. He killed Goliath. He's doing everything that the king asks. He hasn't done anything wrong. Jonathan backs him up. And Saul doesn't have an answer for his son, so he says, I'll swear an oath that nothing will happen to David, just to clear out the air, because Jonathan was not having it. They swear an oath, as surely as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death. That's what Saul says, but he's just speaking like kings, politicians, leaders do sometimes, just to shut people up. So Jonathan tells the whole conversation to David. He's the eyes and ears of David. And soon after that, David was playing music, and once again an evil spirit comes on David, and he grabs a spear and he tries to pin David on the wall again. He eludes him, of course, goes back to Michal, back to his place, and she says, men are looking for you. You must leave now if you want to live. So he escapes from the window. Michal puts a disguise in the bed with goat hair and a statue of David. The men fall for it the first time, go back to Saul and say he's in his quarters. Saul says, bring him here to me. They go back and they discover that it was only a statue. Michal plays innocent, that she had to just go along with it because David forcefully left. But that's how she gets away with it. So David flees the scene. He goes back to Samuel in Ramah. And the Spirit of God comes on Samuel and the whole place very heavily. Everyone starts prophesying. All the men that Saul sends after David, they start prophesying. 3 sets of men, all in a row. Saul comes, he starts prophesying, which means they just go in spirit and start seeing the future, start praying. Whatever they do in their minds, they can't function anymore with the Spirit of God encompassing them. They're fully incapable of harm. Saul is stripped down to nothing, and he lays down naked all day and all night, and people think he's becoming a prophet. That's the end of 19. 20 is David and Jonathan really having each other's back. David goes back to Jonathan back to where their headquarters are in Gibeah, and David says, what have I done? Why is everyone coming out to attack me and kill me? What's the big deal? And Jonathan replies and says, my father is not coming out to kill you. He would tell me if he was going to do that. So even though Jonathan was given orders to kill David, his dad swore an oath that nothing would happen to David. So he believes his father, that he took an oath. He promised. David says, no, your father didn't tell you because he knew that I have found favor in your eyes. So you would grieve me. That's why he didn't tell you. I am 1 step away from death. So Jonathan says, whatever you want me to do, I'll do for you. And they devise a plan to have code talking to each other, because David is going to hide out in the wilderness. The new moon festival is coming up, and he's got to cover himself by saying he's going to a sacrifice back to his hometown. That's the story that Jonathan will tell later. Saul, the second day of the moon festival, asked Jonathan, hey, where's David? Jonathan tells him he's back at home doing a sacrifice, but he's really just in the wilderness. And that is when Saul burns with a fury. He loses it. He tells his son that he's an illegitimate child of a wicked and perverse woman who has brought shame to the family by siding with the son of Jesse, who is David. And he has shamed his own self. And Saul grabs a spear to kill his own son, hurls it at him in this fury. So Jonathan gets out of there. The next morning he goes to the field where David is in the wilderness, and they embrace. They had code. He had an arrow boy fetch some arrows, and he told the arrow boy, go beyond, and that was code for go beyond the walls. The Lord is giving you away from this land, has given you away from this land. But the arrow boy leaves, and they find each other in the wilderness. They embrace, weep, and David goes on his way. And Jonathan goes back to town. But Jonathan is the eyes and ears now for David, and that's the end of 20. 21, David gets pursued by Saul in the wilderness, gets a band of brothers together, and does his thing. He rises up.